Hi, I'm in a workshop where we're doing tarot readings, and one of our assignments was to take a celebrity and do a career path reading on them. So, if what would be their ideal career, and following this introduction, I chose Freddie Mercury, and I thought it would be fun to kind of have it on YouTube and allow people to look at it. It's kind of a fun reading. Thanks. Enjoy. Okay, so I'm going to do the Wands career path for Freddie Mercury. So I will put the cards up here in a minute so that you can look at the cards instead of me. I chose the Magician for Freddie Mercury because I can just see him doing everything, like really becoming the whole thing. And I've always thought, what would have happened if he wouldn't have passed so early? Just the way the band took off, the way he did things differently, and just going to the movie and seeing behind the story of the song Bohemian Rhapsody in itself, that they didn't even want to put it on the radio because it was too long, and it's one of the most well-known songs in the world. And he knew that would happen, and the music that they came up with was so different. It was rock, but it was opera-y, but it was simple in some respects. Some of their best songs were the most simple songs. So I just think that their music was amazing, the whole band. But I always just wonder what would have happened. What would have happened if Freddie Mercury would have been with us? So I'm choosing him. I chose the Magician because I think that he had all of the tools. I think he could have gone a lot of different ways. So let's start with that. So as the ideal, and so he's going to go into the Magician. And the spiritual key here is the Three of Cups. And I think that talks about his celebration. And what I'm seeing here and believing here, that the key to his spiritual challenge, or the challenge to his spiritual, is the High Priestess. And I think that challenge, because the key being the Three of Cups, I think that challenge is saying, this was something that he probably really wanted to become better with. He really wanted to engage more spiritually. That he wanted to celebrate that, and that he could. The challenge was he did have it, but there was probably someone or something stifling that next level, that level up. I think that looking at the key to that is wanting to become more spiritual. It just makes me wonder even more what could have been done to reach that Magician level, and seeing that contrast. His mental key is the King of Wands, and the challenge is the Seven of Swords. And I kind of feel like that is, he needed to be him, and that I think mentally there was probably some disengagement on who he should be and who he shouldn't be. And the challenge was taking that back. I need this, I need to take that back. Mentally, I need to know who I am and what I am. And I feel like that he mentally needed that, that challenge was getting that back, getting to be him, the real him, who he was in the grand scheme of things. And I think that the King of Wands was probably a pretty good depiction of him, the energy that he had on stage, and even that he brought to us in his music. And what a performer, and who else performs like that other than the King of Wands, other than the Queen of Wands? And that could be him too. He was a combination between the two. And it says a lot for mentally him getting that back. And then then we move on to the emotional key, and the emotional key is sharing and contributing. And I think that that's probably has to do with him wanting to do that, wanting to share and wanting to give and wanting to, um, you know, do what he could for the world. And I don't even mean monetary. I mean, the music, giving that and emotionally allowing himself to share himself emotionally. The challenge for him was being happy, to find the joy. He had a challenge in finding that emotional joy, um, to be to be able to share emotionally, to be able to be that King of Wands or Queen of Wands or whatever he needed to be, and um, finding that joy and finding that happiness was a real challenge, and it kind of kept him from maybe reaching that. So if he could find that happiness within his heart and his spirit, then I see that could have definitely grown. Yeah. Wow, that's really cool. Um, the linear key and the linear challenge. Wow, linear, as Megan explained it, was just your everyday life, and the key to that was balancing that. Keeping it even, keeping it real, keeping it real was the key to that, for him. So for him to become that magician, he just needed to really have that evenness in his linear life, being honest with himself, being true to those around him and himself more than anything. The challenge was the change, on his linear level, things kind of crumbled for him a lot, that's relationally, I'm sure, and all of it, all of it. The challenge was dealing with those changes that were taking place. The change, it could be in music, it could be the challenges of the relationship, the challenges of all of it. I really think it's kind of cool to see that. I believe that this, I think these cards are like amazingly perfect for who he was and who he could have been. Um, and that's the way I'm kind of looking at it, is like who he could have been. He could have been that magician easily when you look at what he needed to, what his challenges were. I mean, the world throws us challenges when we're not in the spotlight, right? But when we're in the spotlight like that, it's just, tenfold so much worse, and it's so much harder to find yourself because everybody expects you to be something different, whether it's your fans or your manager or your all of these things. And how do you know who you are? How do you find that, when you have so many people telling you what you need to do and who you should be and what you need to be in public and what you are in private and all of those things. So I'm sure that has something to do with the whole tower as the challenge. How do I navigate this, to be me, but to give, and to, because he wants to be able to give, and he wants to be able to be who he is, and he wants to be able to celebrate his spirituality, all those things. How do you do that? And the tower rocks your world, right? His world was rocked for sure, but I don't think this speaks of the disease. I think it more speaks of all of those other things that are happening, all of those people that are telling him what he should and shouldn't do, all of the things that you have to deal with as someone in the spotlight, and then someone with as much talent as he had. I'm sure there was so many. He had so much. What do you call it? Expectations from everybody, had different ones for him. So I find that really interesting, and I find that he definitely could have done something. Anyway, that is Freddie Mercury and the Wands. What do we call it? The Wands career path spread.